Yeah, already sideways. Drift, 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 drift. What's up, guys? It is a beautiful, and by beautiful I mean ugly day here in northwestern Ohio, and I'm pretty sure it's actually not rain, but the sky crying because it has to be over the greater Toledo area. Okay, so I got a question or a letter here. Let's read it. Anyway, he writes, "Dear Casey, thanks again for answering my letter and all the questions I sent to you. It meant a lot." This was a young man by the name of Walker, who I have a video talking about his questions and life, and drives a Camaro, and this was when I was in that yellow Ferrari Spider out in Nevada. Anyway, he writes, "It meant a lot, more than either of us probably know. I watched your video response to my letter for the first time late at night while I was in a really dark place. I know it was one of the positives during that week that kept me from cracking. Thanks for your kind response, encouraging words, and great advice. Cassia, which is his young wife, was suffering from serious insomnia on top of her normal illnesses the whole month of February, and that first week of April, she got really, really sick, the week before I posted that video. She ended up in the ER and being admitted to the hospital for 8 days. And he writes, "Once she was well enough, I showed her your video response, and she teared up and thought it was wonderful. She was very touched, as was I, that you answered. Cassie's childhood was awful. Her mother was a master at child abuse, and we have been learning this last year especially that abuse is probably the root of most of her illnesses. The work you are doing with Genius Garage is very important. Young people need affirmation and teaching. Cassie and I were not groomed by our parents, even though we love them and are thankful for them. No disrespect intended. I'm guessing lots of your students have not been groomed for success either. So it's wonderful what you are doing. I hope you are also pursuing peace and love with your wife and in your home. It sounded like you are in the things you said in your response video to my letter. Keep loving your wife and your grandparents and your family. That love is the most important thing you have. Everything else you do for young people at the Genius Garage is a bonus, and it is doubly blessed by your private life. I hope God blesses your channel and the Genius Garage and what you are doing to better this world. I took a break from my day off of the 2001 Z28 interior project he has to write this email, and hope it finds you in good spirits. On a different note, and in terms of questions, he writes, I've been spending so much time on this Camaro's interior, and have been wondering. I want a car to cart my lovely wife around. Should I keep this low-mile, amateur insulated LS1 Camaro, or do you think I should Craigslist it and buy an old luxury car like an older Lexus or BMW Mercedes with cash under 10 grand for a quiet, nice ride and risk of the maintenance? Or would it be better to buy a newish used car from a dealership under 20K, like a 2017 Camry or Civic, etc.? What specific models would you recommend if you could? ? Once I get a comfortable car, I'll be able to upgrade the fun car. Sincerely, Walker." Well, Walker, let's go for a drive and talk about it. It's gonna be a beautiful drive with this Viper with giant slick tires in the rain and the sealed blacktop. Let's see if I can. Yeah, already sideways. Drift, 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 drift. Anyway, man, I really appreciate you writing. That's very kind and touching words, and I'm glad that the video I did earlier meant a lot to both of you. And I mean, that's what it's there for, man. That's the whole point of this. So, regarding your cars, let's talk about that. What's a good direction to go? So, your 01 Z28, it's a cool car, and I used to have a high school buddy that had a Camaro of the same vintage. His was V6 though. You know, my only thought is this with a sports car for somebody who's not feeling well. You know, they can get loud, they kind of drone on. So, you know, if you didn't feel well, you had like a sinus thing going on, that's never pleasant. You know, Camaro, or this Viper, I mean, they ride kind of harsh. So it's sort of hard on you bouncing around all day. And, you know, the other thing is they're low to the ground. So if you're not feeling it, you know, or if you ever need help with a wheelchair or whatnot, but you can get in and out, it's a long way down to get in it, you know what I'm saying? So those are things to think about. You know, honestly, if I wasn't feeling well, I wouldn't be driving this car, and I probably wouldn't want to ride in it either. My wife's car that she drives every day to work is a pre-2010, I can't remember the year. It's a Mercedes E-Class, so it's 4-door, it's decent size, but not so big that you're just like having a hard time parking it or burning gas for no reason. And it's the all-wheel drive version, and it's a V6, so decent fuel mileage and all. But we bought it reasonable, just like what you were saying, and it's comfortable, it's pleasant, it's good climate control, it's got a good radio. I don't hate driving it. To be perfectly honest, especially if the weather isn't that good, or I just don't feel spunky, I'd rather just hop in it and go somewhere than take the Viper, which, to be honest, after I drive the Viper for about a month in the summer, I'm like, okay, I need to relax. This, like, this is a little edgy, you know what I mean? So that's something to consider. The other aspect of the question was, instead of buying a car from like the aughts, pre-2010, which is already bottomed out market value, so the good thing about that, if you pay cash, is you're not going to lose money to depreciation. And if you keep it nice and get a good deal in it, and then keep it for a couple of years, you can probably sell it and get out pretty much what you got in it. You know, it's quite possible. So I'm always a big fan of that if you can. However, depending on your credit and your income, and you know, if you have like debt to income ratio, it might be worthwhile to get a newer car under 20 grand and have your payments low, especially if you got a little money, you know, saved up. You don't have to put a bunch down. You're gonna have to think about the financial planning on that, but that could be something worth considering. I gotta be honest though, I hate losing money to depreciation. It's completely pointless. Like, all we're doing is perpetuating and like helping the automotive industry make stupid cars for all the future, because we're buying new cars because we think they're gonna break. Like, I'd rather just keep up a slightly older car. But, you know, you gotta look at your income and your risk management and financial planning, because that might work out in that favor. But the other thing is too, if you go getting like a nearly new car for under 20 versus a luxury car that, let's hope you buy a pretty good example and keep it up and it'll be reasonably reliable, the newer car is a cheaper car. It's not going to be as nice or comfortable or handles well or as good as like a little older luxury car. It's just not. So that's something else to consider. You know, if I was sick or my wife was sick, I'd rather ride around in our like 2008, I think that's the year, Mercedes than I think I would, you know, a newer Toyota or a sports car. It's just the way it is. But the other thing too I'll throw out there is, there is a lot to be said in life for the mental factor. You know what I mean? So for me, if it came down to, I don't know, I don't know, this car is just too much for me to drive, and it's a lot of effort, and I don't feel well, but I don't drive that much. But I could get a car that's like super uber boring and is like metallic beige over like horse poop metallic interior or something, and it's super comfortable and all. Man, I would rather feel good about myself driving something cool like this and feeling a little physically like tired occasionally for the mental aspect than I would just like giving up for comfort. But that's me. So I'm just saying there's a balance there. I don't think you guys get snow, so you can get whatever. But it might make sense for you guys to focus on a more comfortable car that you can put groceries or things, or if you need a wheelchair, in a trunk, or you're moving or whatever, then the Camaro that's more difficult. But if you can afford to keep the Camaro, then there's a lot to be said for having that spunky, good old red-blooded American, you know, independence of your sports car. And I think she probably enjoys that too. And even if that's not her cup of tea, I'm sure she enjoys that you enjoy it. Because as a loving couple, that means a lot. And I know my wife wants me to be happy and have the good mental aspect too. And I just try to make sure and be like, yeah, but kick me in the butt when I need it. Or I make sure I kick my own butt, sometimes too much maybe. Or maybe sometimes not enough. But she does care. So for a good relationship, just think about that. It's not only just practicality and comfort, but there's the mental factor as well. And those are things you guys are going to have to weigh. You can't make a snap decision on those things. Those are things that require a little bit of time to kind of marinate the thoughts and feelings together, and you'll come up with it. But always think about your finances and your future. Don't make a decision just because it feels really good, but it'll be difficult tomorrow. And at the same time too, don't get in a dark place and think you just need to give up and be boring and financially whatever, because there's a lot to be said for feeling good about yourself and a mental aspect as well. Just basic life stuff. Otherwise, man, I'm really glad that video meant something to you. I enjoyed doing it. I was touched that you thought enough of me to write me about all that. Yeah, man, I know what it's like to be in a dark, depressing place. The world is not easy. So the fact that you and other people think I'm successful enough or interesting enough or smart enough or whatever to, you know, trust me with your questions and feelings means a lot. But I can promise you that it has been one heck of a tricky and difficult road behind the scenes to make all those great things happen. So I'm just saying, man, realize it that we're all in this thing called life together, and dark feels like crap no matter what. And just because other people have gone through it doesn't make it feel any better. But what I can say is we're in it together. So even though we're on different sides of the country, at the very least, hopefully it's made you feel a little bit better. So I hope everybody else enjoyed this too, and you guys subscribe. See you next time.